Shreejana ji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Your Excellency Ambassador, our former Indian Ambassador to Nepal, Ranjit Ray, Your Excellency Ishwar Raj Paudil, Surendra Kumar Upreti ji, then we have Ashish Gujral ji, Mr. Sanjay Chadda, Mr. Rakesh Gaur, Mr. Sani, Dr. Arvind Gupta, and AIDA CEO and VP of NICCI, Mr. Sunil Kesey, and our moderator of today, Ms. Shreejana Rana. It is really an honor to be here with all of you to be able to discuss Nepal-India economic dialogue and unleashing potentials. Thank you, AIDIA, for organizing this wonderful event and to be given this opportunity to discuss issues, challenges, solutions that we face to strengthen and learn. Nepal-India relation, connectivity plays a crucial part in our multidimensional relationship between Nepal and India. Economic, commercial, technology, engagement of tourism, education, agriculture we talked about, environment is all connected to the well-being of our countries and overall good strength and prosperity of the region. So I would like to just mention a little bit of NICCI's background, that Nepal-India Chamber of Commerce and Industry was established in the year 1994 as a binational organization of Nepalese businessmen and industrialists with business relations in India. NICCI aims to promote joint ventures and facilitate discussion and interaction between the two countries. The forum also provides support and aid to resolving problems faced by member organizations and represent them to the appropriate authorities. NICCI plays an important role as facilitator in many other issues, and we aim to work collaboratively to ensure cohesive solution to many economic cross-border issues, from working with the embassy to the government and other national chambers. Today, I would like to start by discussing Nepal's potential, move on to the issues afflicting the economic relationship, and finally highlighting some recommendations and challenges. Nepal's potential. Nepal has a population of 32 million, of which approximately 45% are less than 18 years of age. We have a rapid growing economy with an average GDP growth of 5 to 6% per annum. We have rapid industrialization and urbanization and high inert and mobile penetration. Nepal also has a good investment environment with easy to get permission through IBN on single window established at the Department of Industry or other related department. Low minimum investment ceiling of equivalent to US $50K. Indians may invest in INR, no visa required. Protection of investment under BIPA. Avoidance of double taxation under DTTA. Attractive investment benefits. So Nepal is, of course, a good place to invest because she's a young nation with a large youth population, has a high rate of trial for new brands. There's less competitive and hence comparatively easy to establish new brands. So I think the brands that have come into Nepal from India has really made a mark here. There's low import duty for raw materials, at least one step down duty structure in between raw material and finished good to protect industries established in Nepal, including FTI. Comparatively lower employee cost, high ROI. So these are the points that should attract FTI. But however, I mean, it's a disappointment that we talked about earlier, that how the FTI from India has really gone down. Issue afflicting economic relationship, what we feel is, however, there are some issues that do afflict the economic relation. There are four main areas I would like to touch on: trade and infrastructure, ensuring fair competition, importance of collaboration and modernization, and ensuring standardization of ground realities and treaties. Firstly, I would like to start on a positive note that in the area of trade and infrastructure, a wonderful headway we have made in the recent long-awaited railway agreement. We also talked about the fertilizer, and then we talked about the hydro. So this will help ensuring open supply. The railway is definitely going to help ensure open supply lines and economic flow in bilateral trade and greatly reduce costs and problems and increase competitive of the products. Now, moving on, we are all aware that the number, more than 2/3 of Nepal trade is with India. We already talked about that. A lot of my points are also, it's a repetition, but please bear with me because it's an opportunity to discuss, Nepal's major source of raw material is India, from plants to machinery and petroleum products. India is also the closest and largest market for final goods for Nepal and largest source of FDI for Nepal. However, the Nepal-India export ratio stands at 1.8 compared to 1.3 ratio when the 1996 treaty was first concluded. This both highlights the greater value of our relation, whether socially, culturally, or economically. But it also shows that the problem of export and mass production from Nepal. NICCI has assiduously been working to bring these issues to the forefront to discuss the trade imbalance and ways forward, while Nepal does need to work on her internal supply side capacity. There needs to be strong bilateral infrastructure policies to help create a positive ecosystem, such as the healthier tariff understanding between Nepal and India. Standardization, it is important to consider standardization at the ground reality, such as the regularity system of transit fees and testing standards, to standardizing the use of harmonic. And there's also need to be better and equal access and regulation of vehicles. Without the standardization, unleashing further potential will be difficult, as it will create hindrance in the flow of goods. Additionally, when thinking about economy, we need to think about movement of people. Currently, there are two issues that have been identified in regards to remittance to further improve and strengthen the economic flow. Identify proof. Nepalese workers don't have an Aadhaar card, which is required to open an account with Indian banks. Passport is required to open non-residential account. However, due to open border, Nepalese workers don't travel with passport. Recognize Nepalese citizenship card, and so that Nepalese workers have an access to open bank account is what we suggest. On other positive note, NICCI has brought this forward to the relevant stakeholders, and as a result of NICCI's effort, we have had a constructive outcome with positive approach from Embassy of India to Indian government and RBI. This limitation has been moved, and the limitation of 50,000 has been increased to now 2 lakhs, and 12 annual transaction has been open now. So this is going to make things easier. FTI limitation. Thirdly, I would like to briefly touch on FTI. While India has remained one of the largest contributor to FTI in Nepal, there has been a decline in the last few years in the interest of FTI, which we've been talking about it. Some of the problems of FTI in Nepal are bureaucratic hurdles, lack of coordination of regulating agencies. We are not allowed to import and sell brands manufactured by our principals in India, and we do not manufacture in Nepal. And certainly requirement of multiple approval for remittance for importation of service, and certain amendments restricting contract manufacturing. Finally, while Nepal has created incentive for FTI, this is still low compared to many Indian states. So I feel to reach this potential needs to work on being competitive in this area, but I feel that we need to have proper collaboration, synergies, co-development as the Indian neighborhood first policy. To summarize, NICCI feels some revisions need to be made to the treaty to further unleash economic potentials. Are preference available to Nepalese products got eroded due to tariff reduction in India. Trade liberalization brought about double whammy effect of Nepal trade. Presence of non-tariff barrier is impinging on the export trade of Nepal. Export and border infrastructure are inadequate and inefficient. Customers' procedures, documentations are burdensome and lack harmonization between the cross-country customs. Now, tourism, as you all know, that I'm so passionate about. Tourism contributes greatly to our country's GDP and has direct and indirect induced effect to the economy of the country. The sector supports 1 to 10 jobs globally. And data suggests that the Nepal tourism contributes to approximately 7.9% of the country's GDP and supports the livelihood of around 1 million workers. It is an important sector to focus on while discussing economic dialogues and unleashing potential platform as tourism growth can lead to economic growth. They also say, like, when one tourist enters Nepal, 10 citizens benefit from the suppliers to the travel agents. So it is an extremely important sector for Nepal. We really do depend on tourism. With the ongoing pandemic and travel restriction, focusing on bilateral and regional tourism will be fundamental to the reviving of the sector. In many of the regional economies, NICCI's working committee has facilitated and spearheaded a joint working group between Nepal and India was done last on 2018. While this work has stagnated due to the pandemic, the work are there. We are focusing on many of the points that were raised during this period, from policy recommendation to improving connectivity, infrastructure and hospitality at the border, and ensuring working on jointly promoting different forms of tourism. Now, lastly, the solution and recommendation: explore forming a cross-border trade facilitation committee. I think reinforce and reiterate commitment from technical support, identify areas of cooperation and related action to support proposed areas, cross-border trade facilitation committee. His Excellency, Mr. Ri already mentioned about the joint monitoring mechanism India-Nepal. So if that could be, active, I think that would be really beneficial. And then the Indian FTA, we are also working, NICCI is working on a Indian FTI investment summit by end of this year. And then we would also like to mention the religious circuit between India and Nepal is being worked on, and hopefully by end of this year we would have that report ready. With this, we'll be able to market Nepal and India religious circuit, and consider provision on organizing border market to discourage trade along porous border. So in conclusion, I would like to say, let us ensure that the work doesn't end here, and we collectively take forward the recommendation put forward from all the experts here today. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to share. And let me tell you that there is definitely a huge potential. There are all workings that has been done, but always the challenge is implementation and to evaluate what we have actually decided, what we have actually agreed on. So if this is given a priority, especially during the time of COVID, to be able to evaluate what was successful, what has been the gaps, and what needs to be taken forward, I think it's going to be a win-win situation for both the countries. Thank you so much.